Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Salim Badat of Living Islam. So this is our YouTube channel that we've had, and we've had quite a few interviews. But today I'm delighted. I'm honored to have Professor Salman Nadvi with us, an esteemed scholar, someone that we have in our midst. And I'm very, very fortunate that he has allowed me to do an interview with him. There's so much of knowledge that he has, and that is the reason why we're going to break down this interview. So this is the first interview covering his life and his journey. Assalamu alaikum, Professor.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for accepting this interview.
It's a pleasure.
Jazakallah. So Professor, maybe a background of your life in India, where you were born, and the journey from there.
I was born in India. Nowadays they call it Uttar Pradesh. In those days it was called UP.
UP.
Which is a small town called Azamgarh, which is near Lucknow, kind of thing. This is where my father was there. He was, as you know, that he was a student of Maulana Shibli Nomani, and they have established a center of learning and authors. It's called Darul Musannafin, means the house of writers, those who write books. And this is where he was. He was working, and he's the one who produced Maulana Shibli Nomani, who died. And then he wrote the book on Siratul Nabi.
Your father.
Yes, but
yes.
First 1.5 volume was written by Maulana Shibli, and then the rest of the volume all the volumes, about 7 volumes, which has been translated to English also. This is where I was born, and I was studying there. And then after that, while I was in India, my father asked me to go to Darul Uloom, Nadwatul Uloom. So I was born on. Problem is that my birth date, which is on my passport, I made a mistake. So it's different passport, but 1 year different. Because I was born in actual date is 4th of October, 1932. And then a passport came 4 October 1933, but it doesn't matter 1 year this way or that way.
Yeah.
That way.
Makes you 1 year younger.
So I was almost 10 years or 11 years. In 1941, I went away to Nadwatul Uloom, Lucknow, in India, to study my Arabic and religious thing. Now just imagine I'm about a 10 or 11 years old boy to leave home and go to sing alone and to sing. And I was saying, and often used to cry and this kind of thing. Somebody used to hold me back and something of that kind of thing. Anyway, so I studied there and until then, 1941 to 1949, about that time, I finished my education in Arabic. Right from the beginning, Nadwa is distinguished from the other Madaris school in this way. And I'll tell you a little more about that. So right from the beginning, Nadwa, first class, I had to do Arabic, speaking, anything, and then English, then mathematics, life of the Prophet, all of this. It's a very
encompassing,
comprehensive,
yes.
So those who graduate from there may not have English speaking, to talk speeches, or Arabic speeches.
Sure.
So when they will graduate, he may not be able to probably to speak fluently English or give talk in English, but he will, any book you come there read, he can understand what it is.
Right.
Now, before I talk more about this, you must understand that before the British came, at that time in India, there were small madrasa, not like Deoband or other big madrasa. when the British came in India, then the first madrasa that was established, that was Darul Uloom Deoband. And at that time, the objective was at that time to secure the religion of Islam, because when the British came, they came with them the priests, to convert the Muslims into Christianity.
Right.
And Viceroy had a special fund at his discretion, and he used to give to convert people.
Right.
So that's why they had to do that, and that's understandable.
Understood.
While this was happening, this I'm talking about toward the end of it, 19th century, 1888, about that time. And Sir Syed, a very well-known personality, Aligarh University.
Yes.
And he was there, and he realized that mere Arabic or mere religious education will not help Muslims to compete with the British ideologies or anything. So he established another college, another school in Aligarh, which is in UP in India.
Right.
And but the name he gave, that will tell you the trend. And this is where the problem came.
Mm.
The university, it became university later on, but at that time the actual institution that was established, it was called Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College.
Mm.
Now the issue was that the West or Europe was already calling Muhammad as Muhammad.
Mm. Mm.
And then he called those people who follow Islam called Muhammadan.
Correct.
Because their idea was that Islam is a false religion, is a religion which is established by Rasulullah.
Right.
And therefore his name was Muhammad, and those who accepted his religion, they were called Muhammadan.
Understood.
And the name of Islam, not there, was called Mohammedanism, because Muhammad established it.
Right.
Much later, the Orientalists changed his mind. Now they came to an interesting story is that H.R. Gibb, a very well-known British author, who wrote a book called Islam. So anyway, when he came to Pakistan, when I was living in Pakistan, and the book he wrote about Islam called Mohammedanism, because that was the trend of the
Orientalists, correct.
Right from the beginning.
From the beginning.
So when he came to to Pakistan, that I was doing my master's, final master. He came to lecture. So I asked him, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yes." Now he never thought what I'm going to ask. He assumed that I asked why you said this, why you said this, what is what. I said, my question is, why did you name your book as Mohammedanism? Now he had no answer to this. He might say, "Oh, I was very impressed with Muhammad." Anyway, the point I'm making is so already the two ideologies. One is the Deoband,
correct.
Other is the English-oriented.
Could you say two extreme ideologies? One as a reactionary movement against, and the other one is totally accepting, maybe?
Yeah, the Deoband started very good. Deoband was true. Deoband's reaction
was needed at that time.
Was very, very important.
Yes. Because
the British came and they started all kinds of changes.
Correct.
And therefore, the Islam is the thing which is the Muslims have to have, otherwise gone.
Sure.
And therefore, established that. And then became Aligarh. So what happened? The two institutions opposite to each other. There, the teaching about all Islam, Islamic religion, Islamic jurisprudence, all those kind. But keep in mind that the objective was to secure Islam, secure the Muslim.
At that time, correct.
On the other side, their idea was, Sir Sayyid's idea was, that that if they don't do this English education, this kind of thing, then the Muslim will not be able to compete with the British and that kind of thing.
Right.
Although he was a very good Muslim,
Right.
and in Aligarh University at that time, which is Muhammadan Agricultural College, that college, he had Islamiyat also, Sunni Shia Islamiyat also, everything there. But at the same time, they had English.
Okay.
Then over and above, the problem was that he invited and appointed English British professors. Now just imagine if that happened, professor with him, then what do you expect?
Great.
And therefore, it is bound to affect the minds of the students who are studying. So this is the result. I don't want to go too much into detail, but the result was that the students who are coming out of Deoband are Islam, and all the jurisprudence, everything one-sided issue, and not knowing anything what's happening in the world or anything. No English, nothing, anything. And on the other hand, the Aligarh University was the Muhammadan Agricultural College. The students were Muslims, but the mind was secular. Because of the influence of these British professors teaching. So they're making the namaz, they're making a Jummah, they're making all Roza, Zakat, everything were doing what Muslims do. But outlook was secular.
Okay.
So now you have got the two opposite to each other.
Right.
One is pro-Islam,
Sure.
pro-big kind of.
Sure.
There is Islam, but diluted kind
Great.
of situation, and secular.
Right.
Then the two blocks,
Right.
and not understanding each other. And therefore, then the next stage was to establish 2 years after the beginning of 1999, Darul Uloom Nadwatul Uloom.
Right.
Those who initiated this, one of them was Maulana Shibli Nomani.
Shibli Nomani.
And their motion was that we should have religious education, Islamic education, jurisprudence, the history, everything. But at the same time, we should have Islamic history, we should have life of the Prophet, we should have English, we should have mathematics, all of these.
Right.
And therefore, when they started that, so graduates who were producing from Deoband, they know nothing what's happening in the world or thing.
Right.
On the other hand, the students who are graduating from Aligarh University, they didn't know what's happening about Islam or Muslim. They're Muslim.
Sure.
So, then the Nadwatul Ulama, they're coming. They were fully aware of what was going on in England or UK or British or whatever it is. But at the same time, they have the Islamic education. Why I gave this background? That's why my father, who was head of the education institute policy in Nadwa, it's called Motabad Talim, the senior, not senior, but in charge of the education syllabus and that kind of thing. So he was a student of Maulana Shibli, and therefore he was very brave.
So his name, Professor, was Sayyid Sulaiman Nadvi.
Sayyid Salman Nadvi. And anyway, so I went to Nadwa, and I remained there for about 41, and in 1941, then I graduated as Alim in 1949.
Right.
That was main thing. So I had known about Islam, broad-minded kind of thing, all the thing. And then I had English also that time. And then after that, my father went away he was invited to go to Bhopal, which was at that time a state under the British, but it was 7 governors, Nawabs and those. And then I was there, so I had one or two books which are still left to do in like a hadith of fiqh, jurisprudence, which I had to complete there. Then after that, we went there in 1946 only or something. I went there 47, 48, 49. And then my father resigned from there. Then 1950, came back to my hometown. It's called Azamgarh. Azamgarh. It's a UP which I was born. And then in 1950, my father was invited to come to Pakistan in order to guide the Islamic laws in Pakistan, how it's going to be done. So I went to Pakistan. So in 1950, my father asked me, you have done your Arabic, you have done your Islamic education, you have done your fiqh, you have done this. Now you should do the English education also. You do as far as you can do MA, PhD, whatever you want to do. Then I started there privately, matriculation examination kind of thing, passed it. Then I started my education in English.
Where was this? In India?
In
Pakistan.
Right. In Pakistan when I came with father in 1953. So therefore, 1954, I started this. I passed my matric. In 1955, then I started college, graduated as a BA. Then I wanted to do my master's. Then I did my master's in Islamiyat from University of Karachi. And that was 1953.
Right.
I graduated, full graduate as a master's. And then when I did that, then after that I was teaching I had my MA. I did my MA there in Karachi University of Karachi in 1953. In other words, I was qualified to go and teach in the school, college.
Yes, universities, yeah.
Then I was appointed as a lecturer in the college. I'll send you my CV.
Okay.
I will give you. Then you can,
okay, inshallah, for the next one. Yeah,
I will give you here.
Okay.
Just now before you go. And that will help you to what you want to, how you want to beat me. And then after that, I was appointed as a lecturer at a university called University of Sindh. Pakistan had provinces in Punjab.
Yes.
Yes. So I was appointed lecturer in Islamiyat, Islamic Studies in 1953 in Karachi University. Then I was teaching there, master. Then I wanted to do my PhD. But where do I do it? Allah Ta'ala has got really something. By the way, in 1953 also, my father died in November 1953. So this is my mother. I'm the only boy or man in that sense. It was a very difficult life, but alhamdulillah, my two sisters were still unmarried, and therefore I'm the only one who was there.
Yeah.
So I was doing at that time my master's also at the same time. So you would understand how difficult it must have been for me. And alhamdulillah, I finished my master's. Then I was looking where I can do the PhD. Allah Ta'ala was very kind to me. Then suddenly we received the advert for Fulbright scholarship in the United States. And I was teaching at the university in Sindh at that time. So I applied. I said, whatever happened, but I knew that it's a very, very prestigious scholarship, and that fully paid, and that very tough competition at the same time. So I applied. I think Allah was kind in the sense that my father really, my mother, they were the strength, the way they brought me up, teach things like these. Really, that's why I often say that the children, they should value their father, what father does, what father did. And my father used to say, one knows the value of the father when he himself becomes the father.
Absolutely.
Only then
absolutely.
you
Absolutely. Like the sacrifice and everything.
Like any girl will realize the value of the mother and when she becomes the mother. Also. So in this way, Allah Ta'ala, alhamdulillah, my mother's dua, Fulbright Scholarship accepted me.
Was this Ismail Farouqi's at that time?
No. Ismail Farouqi's was in America.
Okay.
I didn't even know at that time.
Okay.
I've heard him, but I never met him. Never say he wasn't. And then I was granted. And this was 1953. This is also at the same time, it happened such a way that I got married also at that time. So my wife, she was a botanist.
Right.
She was there in college there in Sindh called Hyderabad, Sindh.
Right.
This is where I was teaching my thing. I got married. And then suddenly scholarship was accepted and I was going to go. Then Fulbright, what happens normally, they ask the applicant to choose your university where you want to go. So I had given 3 universities, you have to give 3 universities. I gave Harvard, University of Harvard, University of Chicago, and if I remember, University of California also.
Yes.
Because my subject I wanted to do in Islamic Studies. Right. So where these teachers were strong,
when these 3 universities,
we have to know.
Right.
So it could have been Harvard, could have been University of Chicago, could have been anything but the thing. Lucky enough, I was granted admission in the University of Chicago, which is a very well-known university and very well-known thing. We got books there. I'll show you, tell you afterwards.
Okay.
I was ready. University of Chicago, all universities in America, when Fulbright gave me full scholarship, means my travel going and back, and stipend there, thing, and the flat where I was studying there, walking distance from University of Chicago. Then I started working. This is the long thing, short. Then I chose my thesis. Now in American universities, if you are undergraduate,
right,
they are studying. Even if you want to do masters, or PhD, if you do masters, if you are not accepted as a candidate for masters, you are still undergraduate.
Okay.
So as undergraduate, nobody bothers about you. Go this way or that way, whatever it is. That no. So there, I wanted to do my PhD. And I selected for my PhD Hazrat Abdullah ibn Zubair radiallahu ta'ala anhu.
Oh.
And the reason was that that the Khilafat al-Rashida was there, come there, then the Umayyads came there, then the Abbasid came there. And one of those, as you know, that the Banu Umayyad started to visit after that. You know the whole story about Hazrat Muawiyah. Not so much Hazrat Muawiyah, but Hazrat Muawiyah, until Hazrat Muawiyah was not a problem.
It was his son.
It was the son which was the problem. When Amir Muawiyah became the Khalifa, nobody objected. Everybody has taken the pledge, all those things.
Okay.
Because Amir Muawiyah was he was the man who was to record the Wahi of Rasulullah also at the same time, all of those things. Okay. A very important personality among the Sahaba, very thing. And so then Hazrat Swain, he started this movement. Unfortunately, that did not work, and it ended up in a kind of failure to establish any.
Which movement was this? Correct.
Because two were Hazrat Hassan
And
and Hazrat Hussain.
Correct.
And both of these brothers used to go to Amir Muawiyah almost every year, I think. So there was no problem at that time. The problem arose when Yazid was appointed.
Right.
And Hassan also objected, but Hussain also objected. Hassan, soon after that, he died.
Sure.
There remained Hazrat Hussain alayhi salam. Hazrat Hussain alayhi salam, they started his movement against Yazid. That did not work. And something like that's a different story. But before all of this started, the first man who rose up, that was Abdullah Zubair. So my subject was Abdullah ibn Zubair, that why he failed to topple Yazid, for example. I mean, people were not happy with Yazid's appointment because the thing is this, Amir Muawiyah appointed him, but still at those times, Sahaba was still alive.
Sure.
Hazrat Zubair himself was a very good, very important Sahaba.
He was based in Medina, am I correct?
Who?
Sahaba.
Medina, but Makkah also.
Makkah too, yeah. He attacked, Yazid attacked them there too, right?
No, Yazid was in...
I know, but he sent his army there too.
That was afterwards.
That's
That's the point I'm making.
Correct.
That Hazrat Zubair started his movement or against Yazid in Makkah, in the Haram, while Yazid was there in Syria. So that I chose the subject, the Abdullah Zubair, and why his movement failed. What happened? Why that was the issue.
It's interesting that you would choose that.
Yeah. So when she was accepted as a candidate for a PhD, then the university appoints an advisor.
Right.
When you're accepted as a candidate for PhD, before you pass the candidate exam, or before you become the PhD doctor. So when you accepted, then the advisor is appointed, and the advisor say, now you're my boy. Before this candidacy, nobody bothers you what you do. But you become the candidate, then you are my boy.
Right.
Just imagine that. My advisor was Professor Madlung, Madlung. Madlung. He was his specialty was Shiism.
Okay.
All his books are on the literature.
Okay.
That he had known this thing.
Okay.
And Abdullah ibn Zubair's when I took it, it was very relevant.
Sure.
To both sides.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a long story. But at that time, when I was there, really, I became involved with the movement, student movement. What do you call it? Ahmad Sakar and those.
Yeah.
I forget the title. This is the problem. The old age also. It's
okay. It'll come. So the student movement, right?
Yeah. So started. Very much involved into this. Ahmad Sakar, myself, Ahmad Tutunji, and so many other people were there. We all were involved.
Right.
And therefore, MSA.
Correct.
Muslim Student Association.
Yes.
That was the thing.
Yes.
And Ahmad Tutunji was there, Ahmad Sakar was there, other people were there, lots of people were there. And then we started I went there in 53. I got married also in 53. So my wife remained in Pakistan. And she was teaching, she was a botanist.
Right.
And she was teaching at the college there, girls' college there. So I had to leave her there. And because after marriage, about 4 or 5 months after that, or 6 months after that, before that, I went away to America. So she was there around, and I was there. And while I was doing this thing, we got involved with the MIM. And when I came here, I had invited Ahmad Sakar here.
So you invited Ahmad Sakar,
yeah.
yeah.
MIM,
Right.
I gave the names at that time. Because here, the Muslim Youth Movement, what's it called?
Muslim Youth Movement.
So they were very bubbling at that.
They were,
at that time.
yes.
So anyway.
Can I just interrupt you there? So Muslim Youth Movement, we were going to have Brother Ibrahim Jadwood here, you know?
Yeah.
And we couldn't make it today, but he wanted, maybe the next interview, so the reason he wanted to be here, he said, I want to dedicate 5 to 10 minutes explaining how you helped them in the Muslim, because they were the youth looking for direction, and they were involved in activism, so they needed direction. So he says you were instrumental in connecting Ahmad Sakar and all the others later.
That's true. Anyway, so I got involved with Ahmad Sakar and Matutanji and all the people who were there, some other names which there. So we started the thing. Alhamdulillah, it was very vibrant, doing for a very long time, and that delayed me to obtain my PhD.
Okay.
I was more involved in speaking there, movement kind of thing, and then I was doing at that time. Then I had to do in America. If you are doing PhD, then you have to do two foreign languages, which is relevant to your subject.
Right.
Now, many of my friends in those days, early days, they cheated. And they went there, they say, Urdu is a foreign language.
Well, they're right, it is a
foreign language. So, as far as Arabic is concerned, you have to know Arabic. Yeah. Without Arabic, you will not be admitted for any subject of Islamiyat kind of thing. So, can you imagine how Europe or America system of education is unlike India, Pakistan, where you can see many of the people who graduated here, MA or PhD kind of thing, they didn't know Arabic at all. That's why here, when I came here, and I made a compulsory subject Arabic for anybody who does Islamic studies. But anyway.
So that definitely was a gap.
Pardon?
That's definitely a key that you don't have.
For me, it's no problem because I already had studied Arabic. I graduated in Nadwatul Uloom. I had me Arabic, this thing. So anyway, when I became a candidate of PhD, and Professor Mardung was and then I wrote my thesis on Hazrat Abdullah Abdul Zubair and pointed out what is why his mission failed. Just to give you so that you don't get this thing. The fundamental strategic and political error that Abdullah Zubair made, that he started his movement in Makkah, confined himself into the Haram, and movement was against Yazid. But the problem was that the problem was in Syria and not in Makkah. If that was he wanted, he should have moved his army to Syria, Damascus.
Correct.
And which it did. So that was the reason why Yazid succeeded in defeating him, because he was in Makkah and Haram. So if you are studying yourself in Haram, so naturally you will not succeed.
Correct.
The same kind of issue was about Hussein alayhi salam. Same thing. Anyway, so I did nothing. Then after that, I graduated there. I delayed my PhD for a long time. And I was, in 1958, finally got the degree. And in America, the system is, one is the written thesis. You wrote what you did. And second is kind of Viva, that is the professors will be there who will question you, or you say it's called Viva. And when the advisor to you, or to me as a candidate for PhD, become my boy to the advisor.
Right.
So he always looks after you, do this thing, do that thing. You know, he really like your son.
Absolutely.
Kind of.
Mentorship.
Yeah. So the thing is this, when my interview was taking place, or about to take place, then my advisor came to me because you were nervous. Because poor professors are sitting there and what going to do, can me, trap me, do something. So my advisor came to me, this Professor Nadvi. He said, my boy, you are the one who knows the subject. Though you are sitting there, they know nothing about it. Or they were so very simpsy kind of.
Sure.
If they ask silly question, give silly answer. But so you are the only one who knows the subject. So anyway, I went away inside. He asked the question, whatever, now I forget what question they asked and things. And, but what they were very happy with me because was my Arabic and everybody knew Nadwatul Uloom as such. And in fact, his history teacher, her name was Nabia Abbott.
Right.
And she knew about me, about my father. Because my father and she had an argument in a book at that time. And so when the custom is, if you want to take a course of any professor, then you have to phone her or go to her, ask permission that I want to sit in your thing. This Nabia Abbott lady, I phoned her. She was professor of history, Islamic history. So I said, I want to sit in your course. And I gave my name. So he said, well, what's your name? I said, my name is Salman Nadvi. Oh, Nadvi? That's a famous name. I said, yes, you have mistaken. It was my father. Yes, most welcome. Come. Anyway, I did the thing. Another story. Anyway, so when I went for the interview, you can cut anything you want to from there after your.
No. We'll keep everything.
No, just see.
Okay.
When I was interviewed, then after interview, they say, "All right, you go outside now, and you wait because they decide at that time." Yeah. And so at that time, not all the time, the custom is in America that when they sit and decide whether to grant PhD or not grant PhD, so the advisor will come to call you in after this.
After the interview.
To know the result.
Correct.
So when he comes and tells you, Mr. So-and-so, come inside, then you know you failed.
Okay.
You understand?
The title, Mr., yeah.
As he will come and say, Mr. So-and-so, please come in.
Yeah.
You knew you failed already, God. And if he comes and tells you, Dr. So-and-so, please come. So while I was waiting there, what a moment is it? You cannot imagine the thing, how it is done. So my advisor, Professor Nadvi, came to me. He said, Dr. So-and-so, come in. And they had a little bit of discussion kind of thing. Anyway, so I got my PhD in 58 or 59 there. Then I was at that time, but I had a Fulbright scholarship. Then at that time, in order to supplement my scholarship money, I was also working at the same time in a library.
Right.
And the Fulbright scholarship was good enough for me because my wife was here and I wanted to get her here to America. So first in 1958, I couldn't get my wife there. So I had alone there working.
So how many years you're separated so far?
Pardon?
How many years the separation?
Almost a year,
Okay.
more than a year. The Fulbright scholarship is also this way, that they give you a scholarship only for 1 year. Very, very seldom they give you a second year.
Okay.
It depends on your performance. So when I there in 1953, I think I gave you. So 1 year got to 54. And then when 54 came, I was still studying. So they must be getting the report from my teachers who were this kind of thing. So they gave me a scholarship for the second year also. They were good now. So I had enough money to get my wife. So my wife came out, also joined me at that time.
Right.
And then she was working for a while because you have to supplement again the library she was working. And then also at the same time, later on, she also got admission to do her study.
Right.
Although she had done the botany there, but there she did the zoology masters also at the same time. So we both were there at the same time. And then after my graduation in 1959, then I was teaching there at the University of Chicago. I was teaching there as a fellow for a long time. This is the time when I was teaching there. In 1959, not 59, 1953, I graduated, and I was teaching there. And then in 1954, I was moving from University of Chicago to another university, which is to establish. Now, naturally, Ismail Farooqi, we had known him because of the MIM,
MSA.
MSA.
Right.
And Ahmad Sakar, everybody was studying at that time.
Right.
So we all was this thing. That's how I came in contact with Ismail Farooqi at that time. He was a professor of Islamic Studies there in Temple University, there, state at Temple University.
Great.
And he was very helpful with us because to hear about him, he was our mentor for the MSA. And he was Palestinian.
Right.
And he knew India, Pakistan, all of those things. And his wife was there, who was a musician.
Right.
And she also did PhD in music and Islam. Very good. So it's a very sad story how he was, and his wife was
murdered.
Martyred. Done by that movement, in the black movement there. Elijah Muhammad, you won't know.
I know Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
With him, really?
One of those people. Because there's another aspect.
We get to that,
if you
inshallah.
remember it, then I can tell you about that. Because I met Elijah Muhammad.
You did, huh?
But to keep in mind, so I can.
I think for the next conversation we can talk about Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, and also Elijah Muhammad's son breaking away from this whole thing.
I know the whole story.
Inshallah, the next one.
I was there. Honestly, I may not remember the year or time or month, but you can pick it up. Anyway, so I was going to move to that some other university there nearby. They were establishing the Islamic Studies. So Ahmad Tunji and Ahmad Sakar and Ismail Farooqi, and there was another man who came here also. Forget the name. He was doing his PhD there under Ismail Farooqi.
Suleiman, what's his name? Abu Suleiman.
So
I got his book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Suleiman, you're right.
Yeah, I get his name. It's in my tongue. I get his name.
Yeah. So he's my friend. He was doing. I had finished my PhD while he was doing PhD there with Ismail Farooqi.
I spoke to Ahmad Tutunji last year. He's not well.
Who?
Ahmad, yeah, he sent me an email. He's not one.
No, how could it be well? Why? I'm already 90. He's not 90, but he is certainly. Thing. And Ahmad has a rough time, not in America, but with the Egyptian and all those kind of thing. He's in Makkah, isn't it?
No, he's in Turkey.
Oh, he's still in Qatar. Are you sure?
No, what you call Tutunji, Ahmad Tutunji is in Turkey.
Qatar?
Turkey. Qatar was Yusuf Qaradawi.
Qaradawi,
but he's in Turkey. Tutunji is in Turkey.
In Turkey?
Yeah.
Where is he?
In Istanbul.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that time, but he was running around all those He got to Jeddah.
Yeah, hard life.
Oh, in Turkey then. Okay. If I happen to go to Turkey. He has gone to Kuwait. Ahmad Tutunji will come there.
I'm not too sick now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's all. I'm not sure.
I don't think he'll make it.
Anyway, what I was trying to...
So we were talking about...
Yeah, Ismail Faruqi. And I was about to move to another university. Then while there, I already 1972 thing, teaching students, and I was moving to in other words, 1973, I would have moved there.
Right.
My wife wanted to come back to Pakistan after the I was debating about it there. I wasn't too keen, but I was. So I wrote a letter or a request to the Vice Chancellor of Karachi University of Karachi in Pakistan. The Vice Chancellor of University of Karachi was Dr. Mahmood Hassan, who was brother of the Indian Muslim president at that time, who was the Zakir Hussain.
Right.
Zakir Hussain had established a madrasa, Jami Millia. It's still there. Anyway, so I wrote it. Mahmood Hussain had known me, and because of my father. Now, my father and he were friends. So as soon as I sent the letter, soon after that the reply came. Soon after that, and appointed me directly as associate professor of the University of Karachi. This I'm talking about 1953.
1953.
This happened. Now, this is what happened. I take a break if you ask any questions about that, because after this starts South Africa. Then.
Okay. So I think we can
stop here
for the next interview.